again, I mean, affiliations is something that, again, if you want to disaffiliate from Unite Against Fascism, then bring that to NUS conference as well. But what I would say is, well, I mean, you know, I know people are kind of sighing, and you would love me to kind of, in those sorts of cases where you ask me to do something specific, you would love me to turn around and sort of just say, right, on that basis, I'm just going to get us right out of Unite Against Fascism now. But yeah, I'm just saying, whether it's on this issue or any other, if the NUS president of the day, whoever it was, could just simply ignore or rescind unilaterally, but by themselves, policies which members have voted on, I think people would be equally furious. Just all I would say is that's why it's important as a member organisation that you do bring this stuff forward, you do bring it up. But in terms of the specific issues that have been raised, if you do get in touch with me and let me know what happened, who was involved, any correspondence, I can tell you as an affiliate with a voice in that organisation that we will bring that up, because intimidating people, whether or not you agree with them, is just not acceptable no matter who you are. We were talking just before the debate started about individuals, whether they were acting on behalf of organisations or not, emailing and sort of using threatening and violent and distasteful language. It's just not acceptable. At least the people who've had you know, taken the opportunity to email me about NUS's conduct, people may have used very strong terms to express how highly charged they feel about the situation, but no one has sent me abusive or threatening emails. There is a way of putting across your point and arguing your case well without resorting to threats and intimidation, and that should be the case whoever you are. And I think, you know, those of us who are anti-fascist and engaged in the anti-fascist movement ought to think about the kinds of methods and tactics we use, so that we can't be accused of mirroring and using some tactics from the other side. To those of you again who've received any of those sort of threatening correspondence, I mean, you'll always get, you know, random odd jobs from both sides who are just acting on their own, and, you know, just will fire off these emails about something better to do. But where I've already talked about the letter, and I've said what they've said, and I've said what I think about it. But and I will take that up as more as the point. So where you've got those cases, then please let me know. Let me know, and we will deal with that.
Hi, yeah, we've got a few questions. You talk about accountability, we talk about accountability all evening. It seems a pretty euphemistic term. When it comes down to it, the question is, are you going to fire your LGBT officer, or aren't you? And who's to blame? You keep abrogating responsibility left, right and centre. The second point I have to say is, do you not really recognise the irony that you're actually using repression to target people, the BNP, who are most famous for being repressive?
You mentioned the events of the 1930s. In your view, what is the difference between the NUS's no platform policy and appeasement? Ignorance didn't work then, and it won't work now.
Wes, you tried to put the blame on your two opposites. However, as you've already conceded tonight, you talked to Anna long before this actually took place and before your officers sent that letter. So shouldn't you, as the president of the union, have actually talked to them immediately, as NUS had a particular policy on this taking place? Firstly, and secondly, you seem to think that no one in this room will vote BNP, and so we shouldn't do it. Maybe, maybe not. But then will you endorse us doing this debate in Dagenham or somewhere else, so that we may actually educate people about the difference?
Right, okay. First of all, I mean, on the accountability point, to answer the direct questions, will I fire them? I don't have the power to march into NUS headquarters tomorrow and sack.
Ask their resignation.
And sack them. Will I ask their resignation? I guess it would be a crowd pleaser if I did.
Yeah.
But
yeah, well,
That'll do.
Guys, we are in time.
well, I guess it would make me popular if I did, and given that they're not my political fellow travellers in NUS, and I've had run-ins with both of the individuals on a number of occasions, on a number of things, there might even be a small temptation to use this as an opportunity to get my own back. But the honest truth is, and how I feel about it, is that these people, however angry they have made you, they have made a terrible mistake. They've recognised they've made a mistake. and they recognise. Wait.
They're saying they're horrified about the reaction to their comments. Is that them recognising they're wrong?
Well, I mean, the state, yeah, because they are. I think they were genuinely taken aback, and they are horrified by the response. I think.
Guys, come on, let's keep some order because otherwise.
Yeah, direct answer to the question. That they, as far as I'm concerned, they've made a mistake. They've apologised and expressed regret for their mistake. And I think if you as members want to hold them further accountable, whether that is by writing to the NEC and asking for them to take some sort of collective action, or bringing a motion to our national conference, or if LGBT and black students locally want to take the issue to those conferences and hold those officers to account there, then you can do all of those things. But I think they have made a terrible mistake, an appalling error of judgment. I think they haven't marshalled their arguments effectively or thought about how the audience would respond. And surely the point of having any argument is you try and persuade people over to your side, not kind of just get this big thing to smack them over the head with your argument. But I don't think that this is something that I should call for their resignations over. I really don't. And I know it would have got a big cheer and a big clap if I did, but I just don't think it's the right thing to do. And I think they've expressed. They have expressed regret and an apology, and they haven't always done that when I've pointed out something that I don't agree with. But I honestly don't think that would be an appropriate response and a measured response to what's happened.
As a point of courtesy, would you ask them to perhaps reply to emails that they have received?
Apology to me personally as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I will take both of those. Certainly take both of those things back. In terms of passing the buck, look, I'm sorry if you think I've turned up to pass the buck or say, look, I'm just here as a fall guy and I'm just going to pass it off to other people. The moment I heard about this last week, as people, and certainly Natalie and other people, and my Twitter feed will tell you, there were, I kind of just dropped loads of stuff to make sure that we organised this meeting as quickly as possible so I could come up, listen to what people said. People emailed me in significant numbers. I think I've had more on this issue than anything other than the student loans crisis, and I made a point of making sure that I got straight back to people with at least a holding reply saying, okay, I'll get back to you on this, I'm trying to arrange to come to Durham, I will listen to people's concerns. I absolutely accept that I'm the president of NUS and I have to take responsibility for what goes on in the organisation, and I have a responsibility to put it right. I'm not trying to shirk that at all. I'm not trying to walk away from that. I've told you how I think it's appropriate to do it, which is not me going back and saying I demand your resignation. But again, if you want to take that further, if you want to hold me to account. In terms of yes, I obviously did know that the BNP were invited. I knew that when I came up and spoke when I was here, and I did not, I went back, they knew I was here, I relayed the conversation I had with Anna about the motivations for the debate and so on. I didn't see the letter before it was concocted and put out. I do support people's right to protest where the BNP come and speak, and also, I have a responsibility, as do other NUS officers, to make sure that we are campaigning on the issues that we're mandated to. But I'm not someone who passes the buck or tries to duck difficult questions or difficult decisions ultimately. But if I thought it was right to demand their resignation, then I would do that. But I just really don't on this one.